The village of Xianggang, nestled amongst the rice paddies and bamboo groves, was a place where life went on at a slower pace. Days were filled with the rhythmic thrum of cicadas and the gentle murmur of the river winding its way through the heart of the village. Laughter echoed from the doorways of tea houses, and the aroma of spices and street food hung heavy in the air. Yet underneath this peaceful facade, a darkness had taken root. Whispers of missing dogs, their disappearance as sudden as it was mysterious, were carried on the wind. At first, these whispers were dismissed as the ramblings of old women, their minds clouded by too many scorching summers. But as the disappearances grew more frequent, a chill settled over Zhengang. Even the dogs, usually boisterous and full of life, seemed to sense the impending danger. The epicenter of this growing fear was Wang Li, a man as unremarkable as his name. He lived a solitary life on the outskirts of the village, in a dilapidated hut that seemed to sag under the weight of its own secrets. Wang Li was an enigma seldom seen in the marketplace or joining in the lively chatter of the tea house. Villagers whispered of strange noises emanating from Wang Li's hut at night, the muffled whimpers, the sudden sharp yelps that were quickly silenced. Few dared to venture near his dwelling, and even fewer dared to speak his name aloud. Wang Li, they whispered, had always harbored a darkness within him, a cruelty that manifested itself in the way he treated animals, particularly dogs. His name became synonymous with cruelty, a warning whispered from parent to child. As the days grew shorter and the nights colder, the villagers of Xianggang found themselves trapped in a nightmare of their own. Fear, like a venomous serpent, had coiled itself around their hearts. The once familiar streets and alleyways of Xianggang had transformed into a labyrinth of shadows and suspicion. The tools of Wang Li's trade were not those of a farmer or a craftsman. They were instruments of pain and suffering, each one carefully chosen and meticulously maintained for his gruesome rituals. In the flickering light of a single oil lamp, they gleamed with a malevolent life of their own, their edges sharpened to a razor's edge. There were knives of varying sizes, their blades stained with the indelible mark of countless victims. Heavy cleavers, their weight a testament to the force with which they were wielded. Each one was a testament to Wang Li's depravity, a symbol of the terror he inflicted upon his helpless victims. The night was always darkest just before dawn, and it was in those hours when the rest of the village slumbered that Wang Li's true nature revealed itself. The cries of his victims, muffled by the walls of his ramshackle hut, were a testament to the depths of his depravity. He would toy with his victims, drawing out their suffering, savoring their terror. The sound of their whimpers, their desperate pleas for mercy, were music to his ears. He would break their bones one by one, listening to the sickening snap echo through the hut. The villagers of Shangang will never forget the night the moon turned blood red. It was a night of oppressive heat, the air thick with the smell of impending rain. A night when even the cicadas seemed to fall silent, their usual chorus replaced by an unnatural stillness. It was on this night that Wang Li claimed his most beloved victim, a small, playful terrier named Bao Bei, the apple of a young boy's eye. Bao Bei had been a gift from the boy's grandfather, a symbol of loyalty and companionship. The two were inseparable, their bond unbreakable. But on that fateful night, as the red moon cast its eerie glow across the village, Bao Bei vanished without a trace. The boy, his heart shattered, searched everywhere for his furry friend, his cries of Bao Bei, echoing through the empty streets. As the villagers searched through the night, a new sound cut through the oppressive silence. It began as a low rumble, barely audible at first, but it grew steadily in intensity until it filled the night air. It was a howl, mournful and filled with an ancient rage, the likes of which none of them had ever heard before. Fear, cold and primal, gripped their hearts. Whispers of retribution spread through the village like wildfire. Whatever it was, the villagers knew that Wang Li was no longer the only predator stalking the night. The howl, mournful and filled with rage, seemed to reverberate through the very core of Wang Li's being. It sliced through the darkness of his hut, penetrating the layers of his cruelty and igniting a primal fear he had never known. For the first time in his life, Wang Li felt a chill course down his spine, a tremor of apprehension that had nothing to do with the night's humidity. He strained to hear over the pounding of his own heart, his senses on high alert. The stench of blood, usually a source of perverse pleasure, now filled him with a sense of nausea. The tools of his trade laid out on his workbench seemed to mock him, their sharp edges a testament to his vulnerability. Outside, the howl came again, closer this time, and Wang Li's blood ran cold. It was not the howl of a dog he had ever heard before. The silence that followed was deafening. Wang Li stood frozen in place, every muscle in his body tensed, his ears straining for any sound that would betray the presence of the creature outside. The oil lamp flickered, casting grotesque shadows that danced on the walls, amplifying his terror. He had always considered himself a predator, a master of the night, but now he felt like prey, hunted by something far more cunning and deadly than himself. He gripped the cleaver in his hand so tightly his knuckles turned white. His mind raced, trying to rationalize the situation. Was it a wild animal? A tiger, perhaps, or a pack of wolves? But deep down, he knew it was something more than that. With a deafening crash, the flimsy wooden door of the hut splintered inwards, ripped from its hinges as if by a hurricane. Wang Li stumbled back, his breath catching in his throat. The oil lamp sputtered and died, plunging the hut into darkness. He was enveloped by the creature's scent, overpowering and suffocating, a mixture of damp fur, earth, and something metallic, the unmistakable tang of blood. He lashed out blindly with the cleaver, his heart hammering against his ribs, but his blade met only empty air. A low growl, closer than ever, sent shivers of pure terror down his spine. It was a dog, but unlike any he had ever seen before. It was massive, easily twice the size of any dog he had encountered, its powerful muscles rippling beneath its thick, matted fur. Its coat was a dark, stormy gray, almost black in the shadows, and its eyes, burning like hot coals, seemed to pierce through him, reflecting an intelligence that chilled him to the bone. There was no mistaking the raw, primal fury that emanated from the creature, a palpable wave of hatred and vengeance that seemed to crackle in the air. For the first time in his life, Wang Li felt a surge of pure, unadulterated terror. Panic surged through Wang Li like a jolt of electricity. He didn't hesitate, didn't even think. He scrambled towards the back of the hut, his heart pounding against his ribs like a drumbeat of doom. The creature's growl echoed behind him, a terrifying promise of retribution that spurred him onward. He crashed through the flimsy back window, shards of glass slicing at his skin, and tumbled onto the damp earth outside. Without looking back, he scrambled to his feet and plunged into the darkness, adrenaline fueling his flight. He could hear the creature crashing through the undergrowth behind him, its heavy paws pounding the earth in relentless pursuit. The forest, once a familiar hunting ground, had transformed into a labyrinth of shadows and unseen terrors. Deeper and deeper Wang Li fled, his breath ragged, his legs heavy with exhaustion. The forest seemed to close in around him, the darkness pressing down, suffocating him. He had lost all sense of direction, his only guide the terrifying sound of the creature's pursuit. The air hung heavy with the smell of damp earth, decaying leaves, and the metallic tang of blood, his own, seeping from the countless cuts that crisscrossed his body. He risked a glance over his shoulder, and his blood ran cold. The creature was gaining on him, its massive form moving with an eerie grace through the undergrowth, its eyes glowing like embers in the darkness, fixed on him with unwavering intensity. Trapped. He was trapped. Wang Li stumbled backward until his back hit the rough bark of a towering tree. He could hear the creature moving closer, its heavy breathing clearly audible now. The clouds parted for a moment, bathing the forest in an ethereal glow. Wang Li found himself staring into the creature's eyes. They were pools of molten gold, filled with an ancient wisdom. "Please," he gasped, his voice hoarse, barely a whisper. "I'm sorry. I didn't know. Please, have mercy." The creature remained silent, but its eyes never left Wang Li's face. It took a step closer, shrouding him in an unnatural darkness. Wang Li felt a cold dread creep up his spine. He knew his pleas for mercy had fallen on deaf ears. He closed his eyes, surrendering to the inevitable. He felt the heat of its breath on his skin. Then everything went silent. A blood-curdling scream tore through the stillness. The forest exhaled, a mournful sigh that seemed to carry the scent of blood and vengeance. And then silence once more, heavy and absolute. The forest, once alive with the sound of Wang Li's panicked flight and the heavy footfalls of his pursuer, fell eerily silent. The only sound that remained was the gentle rustling of leaves in the early morning breeze, a whisper of a memory, a chilling echo of the terror that had unfolded beneath the watchful eyes of the ancient trees. The first rays of dawn, filtering through the dense canopy, illuminated the forest floor, revealing a scene of carnage. Scraps of Wang Li's clothing, torn and muddied, lay scattered amongst the undergrowth. Like the molted skin of a snake, a trail leading to a patch of disturbed earth stained a deep crimson, and then a flicker of movement at the edge of the clearing. A fleeting glimpse of a massive, dark form, almost swallowed by the shadows, its eyes like glowing embers fixed on the rising sun. The phantom dog, its vengeance complete, melted back into the depths of the forest, leaving behind an unnerving silence, a void where terror had once reigned. News of Wang Li's disappearance spread through the village like wildfire, carried on the whispers of the wind. Some spoke of a monstrous beast, its eyes burning with an unholy fire. Others spoke of a guardian spirit, a protector of the innocent. The young boy who had lost his beloved Baobei stood at the edge of the forest, clutching a worn dog collar. He had seen the creature, its eyes filled with a sorrow that mirrored his own. He knew his beloved companion was gone, but its spirit lived on in the phantom dog. As the sun climbed higher, the village of Shangang began to stir. The rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the cheerful chatter of women, and the laughter of children filled the air. Life went on, faces etched with peace and security. Dogs roamed freely, their barks joyful. Wang Li's memory faded like a nightmare with the dawn. As the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of orange, purple, and gold, a sense of balance returned to Xianggang. The villagers, their faces reflecting the warm glow of the setting sun, gathered in the village square, sharing stories, laughter, and the comfort of community. The phantom dog, its purpose served, became a legend, a whisper in the wind, a shadow moving through the trees. It was the protector, the guardian of the innocent, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope could spring from the most unexpected of places. And in the heart of the forest, beneath the watchful eyes of the ancient trees, life went on. The cycle of predator and prey, of life and death continued, but it was a balance restored, a harmony reestablished. The phantom dog, its presence felt but rarely seen, ensured that the darkness would never again consume the village of Shangang.